We now come on to the PRINCE2 Agile behaviours. And as I said, these have been created or documented as a summary of all the behaviours that are seen across all the Agile frameworks. So they're not essentially unique to PRINCE2 Agile, but the list, the collective list effectively is unique, probably unique to PRINCE2 Agile, but they've been taken from other Agile frameworks, and they seek to encapsulate what Agile is. And certainly for many people in the Agile community, they're more important than any particular tool or technique or framework. Is in the same way as PRINCE2, if you're not following all the PRINCE2, all 7 PRINCE2 principles, you're not running a PRINCE2 project. Arguably, if you're not following all 5 behaviours, then you're not running an Agile project, and you're certainly not running a PRINCE2 Agile project. So the first one, transparency. And it's important to note that transparency isn't just about visibility. So we can have Kanban boards on the wall, we can have intranets with information available and so on. Transparency, I think at the heart of transparency is for an individual, and is any individual on the team withholding knowledge or information. And if you're following transparency, then individuals don't do that. And there is what seems to be a natural tendency for most, if not all people, to withhold what they consider to be bad news. There's a nervousness, certainly in many organisations I've worked in, there's a nervousness to be the bearer of bad news. People don't like to share bad news, and that can cause lots of problems on projects. If there's a problem, somebody knows about the problem, but they don't want to share it. They kind of hope it'll go away, hope somebody else will fix it, and that stops the project addressing it. So transparency is important. Part of that is visibility. It's having information that everyone can see, so people have a common view of the information. But part of it is that personal level of communication, of being transparent in your own dealings. Next we come to collaboration. And the basis behind collaboration really is a team is greater than the sum of its parts. So we can achieve it as a team far more than we can as a set of individuals. One of the things that can help greatly with collaboration can help greatly or can hinder greatly are HR policies, human resource policies. So if individuals are given individual targets, if you're working in an organisation, I know some organisations are getting rid of annual reviews, but if you work in an organisation that still has that annual review culture, if individuals are given individual targets, they will focus on them, which may be good, but it can stop collaboration. So if you have a policy where any targets are joint targets, they're targets of the team, and people are rewarded for the success of the team, they're more likely to collaborate. So you have to be careful, and as a project manager, human resource policies are almost certainly going to be outside of your remit, but they can have a dramatic effect on your team. More modern thinking organisations, if I can put it that way, are moving away from annual reviews and moving away from individual targets towards more collaborative targets and reviews when appropriate. And that's a much more agile way of looking at reviews as well, is to say, if we work on a project and that project lasts 4 months, then surely the end of that project is a good time to have a review. If we work on a project that lasts 15 months, then let's have the review at the end of 15 months, if that's appropriate. We might be having mini reviews much more frequently, and obviously that's part of the learn from experience that we see in PRINCE2. So all those sorts of things can help with collaboration. It is a mindset as well, but most people like to help other people. I've certainly, wherever I've worked, I've been in situations where if you ask somebody for help, most people are really willing to help and really keen to help you, and almost like to help you more than to do whatever they should be doing. Now, that needs to be carefully managed. If somebody stops doing what they should be doing and helps someone else, does it affect their delivery? But again, if you've got team goals and you're collaborating as a team for a common goal, then that will help everyone pull together and do what's best for the team to achieve the common goal. Agile places a big emphasis on collaboration. If we think about Scrum, everyone on the development team is referred to as a developer. It's the only job title. There are no analysts or programmers or designers, or everyone's a developer. So it's placing everyone, it's deliberately saying everyone's of equal value. And also we have the idea of the Scrum Master being a servant leader. That is, they're providing a service to the team. They're not in charge of the team. They're not better than the team. They're on a level with the team, providing a specific service to the team. And that egalitarian ethos is common across Agile and is important for collaboration. Rich communication. So we talked about rich communication in detail as one of the PRINCE2 Agile focus areas. It's mentioned again as an Agile behaviour, and in some ways it makes the working environment more fun if we have rich communication. So the ability to use different types of communication, and certainly things like using Kanban boards and visualizing and information radiators up on walls so everyone can see important information, so we can share ideas. It's referred to here as rich communication. I referred to it previously as multifaceted communication, just to emphasize what makes communication rich, really, that there's multiple facets of how you can communicate, and if we're using them all, we can communicate more effectively. And when we think about just standard PRINCE2 as well, and we're communicating with multiple stakeholders, selecting the appropriate methods of communication and using modern technology where appropriate, recording videos maybe to communicate with multiple people rather than simply using text. The next behaviour, self-organising. So that ties in very nicely, as we said, with managed by exception. It's about empowering people. It's about trusting people. It's about giving people clear objectives, but enabling them and allowing them to define and agree how they will achieve those objectives. And for me, again, that's just good. I was going to say project management. It's just good management. You know, if you think about what's good management and what's bad management, people would often say that micromanagement, you know, I don't know anyone who likes to be micromanaged. What is micromanagement? It's when a manager tries to not only tell you what needs to be done in terms of what the objective is, but how you must achieve that objective, rather than empowering you and enabling you to decide how is best for you to achieve that objective. So obviously the colour of that is macro management, and macro management would be setting objectives, giving up clear objectives within a time frame, within a cost, but allowing individuals and groups of individuals, teams, to self-organise and determine how they're going to work and achieve those objectives. And certainly the first time I read the Agile Manifesto, I looked at it and thought, yeah, this is just a group of people who've really written down how they want to work, how they're dissatisfied with their working environment, and they've just written down how they would like to be treated and how they would like to work in a working environment. And we know that happy people are more effective people, and that's really a lot of Agile is about that. It's about the delivery people, the people doing the detailed work. How can they be more effective? And some of it is about them being happier in their environment and having responsibility. And the final PRINCE2 Agile behaviour, exploration. So what is exploration? It's experimentation, it's seeking to improve, really. It aligns with continual improvement. How can we so it aligns with lessons learned. How can we make things better? How can we make a better product? How can we improve our processes? And it applies all the way through a project. The important thing really for experimentation is that there is time given to it. So we have a way of doing something, we have a way of producing a product, we think there might be a better way, we need to try that out. The first time we do it, it might take us longer. We need to have that time, we need to have that freedom, we need to be empowered again to try out new and different things. Now it can be exploration in terms of products, so creating prototypes and pilots and seeking to produce better products in that way. It can also be exploration in terms of around our processes and procedures and how we go about things. On a straight PRINCE2 course, we'd talk about a supportive management culture, and certainly for exploration to work and be effective, we need a supportive management culture. And particularly, failure needs to be seen as a success. Now that may seem really odd, but what I mean by that is if we explore a different way of doing something and it turns out it's not better, so it's a failure, that needs to be a success or seen as a success in the sense that we now have more knowledge. We now have the knowledge that that alternative way of doing something isn't better. So we've gained knowledge, so that is a success. So although the idea of a way of doing something, of a way the product could be better, actually turned out it's not better, but we have gained knowledge. And if you think about any inventor or scientist who's discovered anything, or you think about entrepreneurs, we always say they have far more failures than success, but from the failures they gain knowledge that enables them to have the success. So that's why supportive management culture within the organisation, within the project, is important in order to support the agile behaviour of exploration.